The case of Todd versus Foster is officially underway, presided over by Judge Lake. Ms. Todd is dragging her former beau, Mr. Foster, to court to prove he's the daddy of her 4-month-old daughter, Selena, all because he got cold feet about the wedding after questioning the kiddo's paternity.
You were suing your former fiance, Mr. Foster, to prove he fathered your 4-month-old daughter. You say he called off the wedding due to paternity doubts.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Foster throws down the gauntlet, voicing his paternity doubts, thanks to Ms. Todd's bombshell confession of a little side hustle during the baby-making window. Ms. Todd owns up to her escapades, which supposedly started as a harmless night out, but clearly escalated.
So, Mr. Foster, you called off the wedding.
Miss Todd, we was engaged. The reason why I called it off was because it was one day, friend of hers, she wanted to go hang out. Miss Todd told me that it was her friend, his girlfriend, so I'm like, okay, I don't got nothing to worry about.
In a plot twist worthy of a soap opera, Mr. Foster details his discovery of some saucy texts on Ms. Todd's phone, which set all the alarm bells about her fidelity and the baby's paternity. The texts were more than friendly, igniting a wildfire of drama and doubt.
I normally don't go through phone at all. Her phone just kept on buzzing, and a text message said, it was good, I want some more. In my mind, I'm thinking like, be my fiance, seeing this.
Went out with a friend and stayed out all night?
Yes, Your Honor.
So did you sleep with him that night?
Yes, Your Honor.
Under the stern gaze of Judge Lake, Ms. Todd spills the beans on not just one, but multiple nights of indiscretions. She details another rendezvous with the same gentleman, again with protection, further tangling the web of who's the dad.
Go to the store, get something to eat, then we went back to the play, and it just happened. We used protection.
Sound like y'all was planning it to me. So was this the only time you had sex? You didn't know that, Mr. Foster?
This is my first time ever hearing about the second time.
Mr. Foster recounts the whiplash of feeling joy at the pregnancy news, only to be slammed by memories of Ms. Todd's cheating spree. This bombshell led him to ditch the wedding plans and question whether he was indeed the father.
Did you tell the other guy you were pregnant?
It was a possibility that he wasn't the father. So no, I did not tell the other person. He found out on pictures on Facebook.
Did he ever think he was the father? Because you know protection is not 100%.
Yeah.
You know that.
Yeah.
As the emotional stakes rise, Mr. Foster confesses his inner turmoil about signing the birth certificate amidst his doubts, driven by a longing to be the father he never had. His tale is a tearjerker, showing just how deep the roots of personal history can go.
The reason why was because I was the only guy that was there that had stepped up.
So you came to the birth. At that moment, you just stepped up, or did you say, I really think I'm this child's father now?
Well, it was like more, I'm gonna step up and I'm gonna be a man since Mrs. Todd is staying with us.
But you did not believe the child was yours.
Mr. Foster whips out proof of their engagement, throwing a curveball that contradicts Ms. Todd's timeline of events. This piece of evidence adds layers to their already complicated love saga and the paternity mystery.
We was already engaged for her birthday is in the summertime. If I'm not mistaken, it was cold out when the guy came and come and get her.
Outside when he came.
Do you see the wedding cake right there? That's on her birthday.
Oh, and there's the ring.
August 8th.
So now, does that refresh your memory? Were you engaged when you had this man come pick you up?
Ms. Foster, aka Mama Bear, steps into the fray, laying out why she suspects her son isn't the father, based on Ms. Todd's own words and a push for a DNA test to clear the air. The family drama intensified, dragging everyone through an emotional gauntlet.
As I was saying, I told her that she needed to take a DNA test with this guy. Family members of hers were calling me, let me know that this guy was the father. He didn't want to be involved. My son, I said, if you're going to be with her, you might as well marry her and get over the fact that the child may not be yours.
Ready for the big reveal? The tension hits its peak as Judge Lake unfurls the DNA test results.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Foster, you are her father.
Oh,
I told you was her father.
Can you believe this drama unfolding right here? Mr. Roll asserts he is not the father of Miss Gadelian's twin daughters, adamant in his belief that her infatuation is the only reason she's pointing the finger at him. He paints a picture of Miss Gadelian's behavior as over-the-top obsessive, detailing her relentless presence around him and her sneaky snapshot tactics. If you thought this was juicy, just wait until you hear what's up next.
Mr. Roll, you are here to prove you are not father of Miss Gadelian's twin daughters. You say she's infatuated with you, and that's the reason she wants her babies on you.
Yes, Your Honor.
Did that just happen? Out of the blue, Miss Gadelian stands her ground, confidently declaring that Mr. Roll is undoubtedly the father of her twins. She paints a heart-wrenching picture of abandonment, detailing how he left her to fend for herself with 2 babies, her heart shattered into pieces. The drama ramps up from here, so keep your eyes peeled.
You say there is no question Mr. Roll is father of your twins. You say he left you with 2 babies and a broken heart.
Yes, Your Honor.
Wasn't that a plot twist? In a turn of events in court, Mr. Roll dives deep into into Miss Gedelian's so-called obsessive antics, accusing her of taking countless photos of him without his permission and practically haunting his workplace. This revelation dives into the nitty-gritty of their complicated interactions, highlighting a serious clash over personal boundaries and alleged over-the-top behavior. Buckle up, because the courtroom revelations are about to get even more intense.
Your Honor, she's obsessed with me. She would take pictures of me. We would sit there, she'll walk past my job, staring at me. Then when me and my ex broke up, I seen just numbers of pictures that I never seen before. I didn't even know it was being taken.
You said you saw pictures you never knew were being taken.
Did you catch that curveball? Miss Gedelian retraces the seemingly innocent beginnings of their romance, starting with light-hearted flirtations during work breaks, evolving into more meaningful social media banter. She emphasizes the normalcy of their budding relationship, spotlighting the mutual interest that gradually scaled up. You won't believe what happens next, so stay tuned.
On breaks and stuff, I would go over to his job and get drinks or whatever. Player, you would say. He would flirt with everybody there. He was flirting with me. I was flirting. We started writing on Facebook and whatnot, you know, because after a while, he invited me over to his house.
Ready for another shocker? Amidst the courtroom tension, Mr. Roll drops a bombshell by admitting he wasn't exactly single during their interactions, revealing a girlfriend in the background all along. This bombshell opens up a can of worms about the true nature of their relationship, leaving Miss Gedelian feeling misled and revealing Mr. Roll's cavalier attitude toward his flirtations, despite being committed elsewhere. And guess what? There's more drama just around the corner.
When she sent me the message on Facebook, I had pictures of me and my ex together. We all would go trips, we'd do vacation. So she was well aware I was in a relationship when she hit me up. She was well aware. She went through my Facebook and were able to find out where I was at, how to message me. She seen the pictures of me and my ex.
You won't believe this twist. After discovering her pregnancy, Miss Gedelian faces Mr. Roll's cold shoulder as he expresses fear over how the twins would upend his life. This pivotal moment uncovers Mr. Roll's initial denial of paternity and showcases the emotional roller coaster Miss Gedelian endured, contemplating the daunting prospect of single motherhood. The plot thickens, so don't go anywhere.
I asked him, I said, what would you do if I was pregnant? And he said, it would ruin my life. I said, well, then never mind. He says, you're pregnant, aren't you? And I said, you know what, I am. Don't worry about it.
She told me she had to tell me something. I didn't find out. Actually, like 2 or 3 days later, what she wanted to tell me, that's when she told me she was pregnant.
Here comes a game-changing revelation. The courtroom digs deeper, uncovering that Miss Gedelian was technically still married, albeit separated, adding layers to the paternity puzzle. Mr. Roll seizes this detail to bolster his doubts about fatherhood, hinting at potential other liaisons by Miss Gedelian. The stakes are high, and you'll want to see what's revealed next.
Do you think you're the father at this?
No, because she was married.
What?
Your Honor, I was in the middle of a divorce. I had been separated from my husband for over a year. We were in the middle of a divorce that I was trying to divorce last a very long time.
And I was told she said slept with someone else. Like, in my mind, I'm sitting there like, it can't be mine. It's from people I work with, and also people that work, partners she work at also.
Can this get any wilder? As the heat turns up, it's disclosed that another man not only signed the birth certificate, but was also present at the twins' birth. This bomb drops amid escalating tensions and unresolved conflicts between Mr. Roll and Miss Gedelian, with both navigating a minefield of betrayal, responsibility, and past decisions refuse to stay buried. Hang tight, because the courtroom drama is far from over.
In my mind, as another man on the birth certificate, another man was there for the birth, another man cut the umbilical cord. So in my mind, I would have some part. You would have reached out to me at some point in time.
I asked him if it was okay before it was even done, and he said he did not care.
Approaching you and saying, look, I have a boyfriend now and he wants to sign a birth certificate.
Hold on to your seats for this jaw-dropping moment. Into the courtroom steps Mr. Taylor, taking on the role of father to the twins amidst the ongoing dispute about their paternity. His commitment to the children, irrespective of biological ties, starkly contrasts with Mr. Roll's reluctant denial, illustrating the profound differences in their views on fatherhood and moral responsibility. The climax is on its way, and you won't want to miss it.
You signed the birth certificate, these beautiful children, when they were born, and you were also at the hospital Miss Gedelian delivered.
I was. Me and Sarah had built a relationship. I knew she was pregnant. Obviously, I knew they weren't mine. There was rumors that they were Willie's. There was rumors saying that they weren't. After our relationship, I didn't care. I just knew that the man wasn't around.
Are you ready for the grand finale? Tension reaches its peak as Judge Lake prepares to unveil the DNA test results.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Roll, you are their father.
Right out of the gate, things are heating up. Miss Palmer and her twin sister storm into court, guns blazing, ready to throw down over who their real daddy is. They're not just here to stir up drama. They want DNA proof that Mr. Palmer, the man on the defense bench looking like he'd rather be anywhere else, is their biological father. Despite their fiery entrance, they're on different pages about what they actually want from him, which only adds to the soap opera vibe. Mr. Palmer, with a face that could curdle milk, swears up and down it's not him because their mom was already pregnant when they met. As the twins raise their eyebrows, so do we. Grab your your popcorn, folks. This is just the warm-up.
Petitioning the court for a paternity test to prove the defendant is your biological father. That it is impossible for you to be the biological father of the Palmer twins.
Can you believe what just happened? Miss Palmer is up next, spilling her guts with a mix of heartbreak and a dash of righteous fury. She's absolutely gutted that Mr. Palmer, a man she's called dad, in her heart if not in person, is now denying everything. Flashbacks to childhood memories flood the courtroom as she recounts those fleeting moments they share, painting a picture of a dad who's there 1 minute and ghosting the next. Her twin backs her up, adding her own color commentary to the sad family portrait. As the tension mounts, you'll want to stick around because the tea is about to spill.
I was playing in the backyard with my sister's father, and I ran to the front of the yard, and so happened he pulls up. Hey, twins. And he zoomed off. I remember at 8 years old, him coming.
Hold the phone. Did he just say that? In a jaw-dropping turn, Mr. Palmer throws down the gauntlet, denying he's ever laid eyes on these two. The twins are having none of it, serving up a heated rebuttal with a side of, "Are you kidding me?" This standoff has the courtroom buzzing as they detail every chance encounter with a man who seems to have a PhD in hit-and-run parenting. Their frustration is palpable, and Mr. Palmer's denial are about as sturdy as a house of cards in a windstorm. Don't touch that die, because the sparks are about to fly even higher.
It was a time when we were 11 years old, right? Came home from, then you have a big brown van when we came home with our
something
mother.
wrong with this
as
brain,
soon as
young.
we walked in, this man, you guys look just like he was sitting at our kitchen table.
Just when you thought it couldn't get more tangled, here comes the Backstory Express. The court dives into the nitty-gritty of timelines and possible deceptions, with Mr. Palmer narrating a tale that sounds more like a daytime TV plot than real life. He claims he was duped about the pregnancy timeline, using it as his get-out-of-fatherhood free card. The details pile up, and so do the doubts, as everyone tries to keep up with his story that's slipperier than an eel. The stage is set, my friends, for revelations that might just flip the script.
Here's number one. She's already pregnant.
My mother was a
You better
virgin.
watch out.
Yeah.
This before we even talk.
Well,
As I
start
took her
talking to a
home with my
pregnant woman.
sister, they worked together. I dropped them off. We got to know each other a little bit.
Wait, did he just drop a family tree bombshell? Mr. Palmer, perhaps in a bid to distract from the current drama, shares that he's got enough kids to start his own small village. This little gem adds layers to the mystery. How does a man with a double-digit brood keep all his stories straight? The implications are as juicy as they are complex, with family ties that could probably strangle a soap opera cast. Fasten your seatbelts. We're heading into a family feud that could make Thanksgiving look like a tea party.
Did I ever had a DNA done on? And that was because I asked for it because I was 60 years old and had a baby.
Still having
and
kids.
My daddy had 32. And the only reason I asked for a DNA at that time because I wasn't sure.
You'll need a scorecard to keep track of this emotional roller coaster. The twins lay it all out, their voices thick with emotion as they detail a lifetime of missed father-daughter dances and unanswered birthday wishes. They paint a vivid picture of a father-shaped hole in their lives, making a compelling case for Mr. Palmer to step up and face the music. Their heartfelt plea tugs at the heartstrings, maybe even a juror or two. But will it sway the man in question as we gear up for the next bombshell? Remember, the plot always thickens in paternity court.
Since she got in contact with this man, my sister, that this man has said we're not his kids.
And she said
And
that.
this man could look in our face and sit here and say, not our father. After all that,
Believe
you
me.
should have inquired about kids and made sure
Believe
that
me.
the other two,
Find
besides
out.
the 10,
Here's a twist. Enter stage right, Mr. Palmer's daughter, who could double as his public relations manager. She's all praises and defense for her dad, throwing a lifeline to a man currently swimming in hot water. Claiming her father's always been Mr. Honest, she presents a stark contrast to the twins' narrative of neglect and abandonment. As she stands by her dad, courtroom is split. Whom to believe? Keep watching, because the family drama is about to reach soap opera levels.
These girls feel like my dad is their father and he hasn't been in their life. If he had any doubt in his mind, I'm sure he would have stepped up to the plate. I'm sure he would have asked for DNA. So
And when I reached out to
we heard
Camilla,
about
she was
it.
very
We heard,
receptive.
my mom told me as a kid that
Just when you think you've heard it all, another Palmer offspring enters the fray, echoing his sister's sentiments with a solid dad's no deadbeat declaration. This sibling tag team attempts to shore up their father's crumbling credibility, insisting he's as reliable as gravity. Yet, as they recount family tales that conspicuously exclude the twins, the plot thickens enough to cut with a knife. The stage is set for a showdown that could rival any season finale. Don't go anywhere. The climax is up next.
I've always known about the girls, I've always heard through family members about the girls, but I've never been able, I actually, since we share the same last name, I claimed him as my sister. I've never laid eyes on him either. This is my first time seeing him. He's always been consistent with his story.
Cue the dramatic music. It's envelope time. As the judge grips the results that everyone's been waiting for, you can cut the tension with a chainsaw. Will the DNA test prove Mr. Palmer is the father, or will it vindicate his vehement denials? Either way, the family tree is about to get some new branches or have a few chopped off. As we brace for the big reveal, remember, in paternity court, expect the unexpected. What happens next could rewrite everything.
You are their father. You genuinely look surprised, Mr. Palmer, and emotional. How do you feel?
He would have been there.
In a surprising twist right at the start, Ms. Murphy claims that after a brief but passionate relationship with Mr. Miles, she became pregnant, and now that he is married, he wants to deny their 3-year-old son. She passionately expresses her frustration and disappointment with Mr. Miles' refusal to acknowledge their child. Strap yourselves in, because Mr. Miles' rebuttal is just as jaw-dropping.
Passionate relationship offended Mr. Miles, and then you became pregnant. Now you say he's married and want to forget he has a 3-year-old son.
Yes, Your Honor.
In an explosive response, Mr. Miles firmly denies paternity of the child, suggesting that whispers and rumors from friends and family hint at another man being the biological father. The audience gasps in surprise at his adamant denial. Keep your eyes peeled. Ms. Murphy's comeback will have you on the edge of your seat.
The only person you're trying to forget is Ms. Murphy.
Yes, Your Honor.
You deny her son and say her friends and family have told you another man is his biological father.
As the plot thickens, Ms. Murphy recounts how Mr. Miles reacted negatively when she announced her pregnancy. She accuses him of shirking his responsibilities, pointing out his refusal to support or even recognize their child, which earns a round of applause from the audience. Things are about to get even spicier, with accusations flying back and forth.
I don't want you to have this baby. This is not okay to make that baby, but he can't be man enough to take care of it. The paternity test,
And that's not
any
true.
other way, he said he didn't have the money for it. If that's the case, Your Honor, we would not be here. It would already
Okay.
be taken care of.
Just when you thought it couldn't get more heated, Mr. Miles throws a curveball by accusing Ms. Murphy of being unfaithful, citing an incident involving hickeys from another man. Ms. Murphy vehemently denies these claims, insisting she was faithful and deeply invested in Mr. Miles during their relationship. Buckle up. The judge is about to step in and shake things up.
1 minute she's pregnant by me. She'd tell me, I asked her, what's the reason you got hickeys on your neck?
To lie. When I was talking to him, I was only talking to him because I was so busy. I really liked him at the time that we were seeing each other. I was not talking to anybody.
With confusion hanging in the air, Judge Lake delves into the nature of their relationship, with Mr. Miles describing it as casual and non-committal, which starkly contrasts Ms. Murphy's narrative of their past involvement. The twists keep coming, and what follows will leave you questioning everything.
We were cool, we were friends, you know. I wouldn't say it was a relationship. Yeah, her family members told me specifically
The family members that you were sleeping with.
They told me that she was getting around.
Family members that he was sleeping with told
Miss
him that.
Murphy, she knew that.
In a critical turn of events, Judge Lake lambasts the lack of convincing evidence from Mr. Miles regarding his paternity doubts, emphasizing that trivial incidents like hickeys are hardly a basis for denying fatherhood. The stage is set for a dramatic twist as a new testimony turns the tide.
Because I know what type of woman I was dealing with, the type of stuff that you let me see this stuff.
He don't got no stuff.
The hickeys on her
Never
neck.
had hickeys
Yeah, yeah.
before. Thank you.
So move
My
forward
evidence
from
is
that.
this. My evidence is that every male and female know what sex smells like. She came over to my house.
Raising the stakes, Mrs. Miles, the current wife of Mr. Miles, steps up to testify, shedding light on the timeline of her relationship with him and her discomfort with the chaotic introduction to Ms. Murphy's child situation. What she reveals next will definitely stir the pot further.
Come on now.
And the child is 3 years old.
I went over there nowhere.
Almost 4 years.
Almost 4 years. He's not even out.
I know nothing about Tanisha or Takori at all. I found out we got together 2012.
In a heartfelt moment that might just soften the hardest of hearts, Mr. Narvaez, who has acted as a father figure to the child since he was 2 months old, shares his deep emotional connection with the child, asserting that his role in the child's life is unwavering, regardless of the biological ties. The moment of truth is up next, and it's a game changer.
Not biologically, but you know, like everything he know, I teach him. He got favorite colors. We play games. I taught him his colors. I taught him his numbers, his ABC. When he wake up in the morning, the first thing he do, he wake me up. Daddy, I love you. Good morning, Daddy.
In a climactic reveal, the tension hits its peak as Judge Lake reads the DNA results, confirming that
A 3-year-old Takori Murphy. Mr. Kiba Miles, you are his father.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I have no reason to lie.
Can you believe we're just kicking things off? The session begins with a formal invitation to sit. The case Green versus Duncan is announced, spotlighting a paternity dispute involving a 2-year-old named Angel Bryant. Judge acknowledges the audience and participants, setting a serious yet open tone for the proceedings. Buckle up, because we're just getting started on this roller coaster.
This is the case of Green versus Duncan.
Thank you, Jerome. Good day, everyone.
Good day.
Mr. Green,
Yes, ma'am.
you
Yes, ma'am.
claim your right as a potential father to the child in question today. 2-year-old Angel Bryant were basically stolen from you.
Right out of the gate, the stakes are high. Mr. Green asserts his rights as a potential father have been compromised. He expresses doubts about his paternity since the child's conception, but has still provided financial support. Despite his uncertainties, Mr. Green continues to fulfill financial responsibilities just in case Angel is indeed his daughter. You won't want to miss what's coming up next.
You say at 56 years old and having never fathered a child previously, yet you maintain financial responsibility for Angel. just in case she's indeed yours.
This part's a real jaw-dropper. Ms. Duncan admits to having been intimate with another man during her relationship with Mr. Green, but insists Mr. Green is the father because the other man used protection. Shockingly, she reveals that both men are currently paying child support, eliciting gasps from the audience. Hang tight, because there's more where that came from.
To sleeping with another man while with Mr. Green, but say you're positive is Angel's father because the other man used protection. Mr. Green is solely supporting the child, and you admit that both men are currently paying child support.
Here's where things start to twist and turn. The backstory of how Mr. Green met Ms. Duncan unfolds. They started their relationship cautiously, eventually becoming intimate. Ms. Duncan acknowledges she was not fully truthful about her other relationships, increasing the complexity of the paternity issue. Keep watching, the plot thickens.
I was out, of course. Staggering a little bit, walking home alone from the club.
Then shortly thereafter, you guys began dating?
I don't have sex. I'm not a sexually active person. We did not sleep together, and this was about 3 months later.
Waited, which is good, got to know one another, and then you had a sexual relationship.
That's correct.
This segment turns up the drama notch. Ms. Duncan describes her unexpected pregnancy discovery. She initially informed Mr. Green, who was stunned by the news, given his age and lack of prior children. This moment intensifies when Mr. Green mentions his reason for pursuing clarity in court, wanting the truth to come out. You'll definitely want to see what happens next.
They took me to the emergency room and they told me that, and also, congratulations, you're 9.5 weeks pregnant.
Really? She was the first person you called?
Yes.
And so what was your reaction? Were you happy?
I just couldn't believe it. I was in shock.
You were 54 years old.
Yes.
You never had
Yes,
another child.
No, Your Honor.
And just when you thought it couldn't get more intense, Mr. Green recounts the moment Ms. Duncan hinted the child might not be his, which came around 6 or 7 months into the pregnancy. This revelation, discussed, leads to a heated exchange about the timing and truthfulness of Ms. Duncan's admission, deepening the emotional and legal entanglements. Strap in for the revelation that's about to unfold.
And she told me, she said, well, the baby may not be yours. That's after 6 or 7 months.
Of pregnancy or
Yes.
when the baby was born?
6 or 7 months during pregnancy. And that's why I found out the baby may be.
Yes,
That's
I told
just
you
what those
that. I
exact
told
words.
you that I was what?
Okay,
3 months. Now you're
7
gonna
months.
tell I'm 6 and 7
You was
months.
about to have the baby.
Every revelation here adds a new layer of complexity and shock. The drama peaks when Mr. Green discusses the birth of the child, noting his absence due to not being informed, a point of contention and sorrow as he missed a significant life event. Ms. Duncan admits her mistake in hastily assigning paternity on the birth certificate, acknowledging it may have prematurely defined familial roles. Next up, the emotional stakes are through the roof.
I felt you didn't want no child, and the man.
Well, you could have left it blank. If your heart, if you know who the dad is, you can let it be signed. Get what you can
I'm
get
not
from him.
playing with him.
Get what you can get from me.
No, oh no. Really giving me nothing.
I know that. How would
Paying
you feel if I do the same thing to you if I was vice versa?
Paying you.
Brace yourself. The moment of truth is near. The climax occurs from as the judge prepares to deliver the DNA test results, a moment filled with high emotional stakes.
Mr. Ronald Green, you are not her father.
Can you handle this curveball? Ms. Manship's devastating discovery and search. At age 10, Ms. Manship's world turned upside down when she learned that her dad was actually not her biological father. Stunned and devastated, this bombshell kicked off a 20-year scavenger hunt to find her real dad, with nothing more than an old photo, a name that might as well have been a needle in a haystack. Buckle up, the emotional roller coaster is just picking up speed.
Ms. Manship, at the age of 10, you were shocked and devastated to learn that your dad was not your biological father. That began your 20-year search to find the man your mother claimed is your father. After your exhaustive search to find him, you came up with nothing.
Just when all seemed lost, the court miraculously tracked down Mr. Lau, who's about to make an entrance and meet Ms. Manship and her mother for the first time in over 3 decades since their dramatic split. The room is charged with tension and anticipation, like a finale of a reality show. Get ready, because the drama is about to dial up a notch.
Well, Ms. Manship, this court has located him, and he will join us in a moment. This will be the first time meeting him, first time seeing him since they broke up more than 30 years ago. But before we bring in the defendant, Mr. Lau,
in walks Mr. Lau, totally clueless about the existence of Ms. Manship until a recent bombshell phone call from the court. His bewildered expression could rival a sitcom scene. He denies any knowledge of her, setting the stage for some jaw-dropping moments. The next part is a tear-jerker. Make sure you have tissues handy.
When the court contacted me just recently.
you never knew she existed.
No, Your Honor. No, Your Honor.
But you did have a relationship.
Yes, Your Honor.
You remember that.
Years
I have
ago,
to
yes.
ask, is this you in this photo?
Yes, Your Honor.
We know we at least have the right Mr. Lau. How does that make you feel, Ms. Manship?
Relieved.
Ms. Manship shares her tireless efforts to find Mr. Lau, from internet deep dives to asking strangers in chat rooms if they knew her dad. True detective in the making. Her dedication is both heartbreaking and oddly inspiring. Don't go anywhere. You'll want to see how Mr. Lau reacts to all this.
Since my early teens, I've searched everywhere. I've searched phone books. I've searched online. I've asked people, and I've never had a response from, in the past 20 years, nobody has ever given me even a single detail or where he lived, if he has any family. I don't know anything.
You had no hope until this court tracked him down.
Yes.
The plot thickens as Ms. Lutman dives into the soap opera of her past relationships, with Mr. Laup and another mysterious man making the paternity question as clear as mud. As they untangle the timeline of who was where when, the suspense builds. It's like a reality TV show cliffhanger, and you'll be on the edge of your seat.
Well, I only wanted to keep one.
You did?
I was really happy with this man.
You were very happy with Mr. Lau?
Didn't want to stay out of the picture. He said he had to get back to Arkansas and take care of business. Me and my ex got back together, and about a month later, I started getting symptoms, and I was with my ex till I figured it was my ex's baby. So we just continued all the way up until I had her.
Hold your popcorn. It's the big reveal. Paternity results revealed. Drum roll, please. Jerome hands over the paternity test results, and boom.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Lau, you are the father.
Here comes the bombshell. Ms. France drops a major revelation that her dad, on his deathbed, spilled the beans. He might be Sonia Lee's biological father. The audience reacts with murmurs as the judge clarifies if Ms. Lee, standing before her, is indeed the sister Ms. France has been talking about. This juicy tidbit sets us up for a roller coaster of a paternity mystery. Brace yourself. The drama unfolds even more from here.
You're here along with brother who's waiting outside of our courtroom. You say father claimed on his deathbed that he was the biological father of a child. If indeed you've now found the correct Sonia, you believe plaintiff Ms. Lee is your sister?
Yes, Your Honor.
Hang on to your seats, because this gets wild. Ms. France spills the tea about always knowing she had a twin in Michigan, sharing how their children, completely unbeknownst to the potential family tie, became buddies. The revelation paints a bizarre picture of how small the world really is, and underscores unexpected family connections popping up in the least expected places. Keep watching. The emotional whirlwind is just picking up speed.
The whole time I was growing up, I heard and I was always told that I had a twin in Michigan the whole time. We went to the same schools. Our kids are even best friends and never even knew. I even know her grandmother and my grandmother are best friends.
Get ready for a twisty turn of events. Ms. Lee details her initial confusion and emotional upheaval after receiving out-of-the-blue messages claiming she has a different biological father. She talks about her skepticism and delayed response, highlighting the personal chaos brought by such a monumental revelation. This segment really digs into the complexities of identity and hidden family secrets. Next up, emotions run even higher, so don't go anywhere.
They're receiving some notifications, someone trying to reach me. I didn't respond to the messages for a while, let me say that, because I didn't recognize her picture, I didn't recognize her name. After 3 or 4 messages, I finally responded, where we exchanged numbers and I called her and she just started a story out, and it was like, whoa, wait a minute, slow down. But on our dad's deathbed, he had me look for you and we thought you were dead. And I'm like, wait a minute, so now I went from being one man whose name I carry.
You're not going to believe this part. Gloria Washington, Ms. Lee's mom, steps up and throws another curveball into the mix, explaining her past fling with Mr. Miller and why she chose to keep it a secret from her daughter. Her testimony sheds light on the tangled web of personal decisions and hidden truths that shape lives in ways we can hardly predict. The bombshells keep dropping, and the next one is a doozy.
And during the time when I was 6 months pregnant with her, he left me for Mrs. France. When she was born, Mr. Lee was there with me. He took care of me. Mr. Miller, I never saw him. I never told her. I didn't think she needed to know.
Are you ready for the big reveal? The tension peaks as Judge Lake prepares to open the envelope with the DNA results that everyone's been anxiously waiting for.
Is the biological daughter of the late Ronald Miller, Ms. Lee? They are indeed your biological brother and sister.
You wouldn't believe this opener. The episode kicks off with the judge striding in and everyone getting seated. Miss Looper launches into her case against Mr. Downs, accusing him of denying fathering her twins, Rayleigh Nursery, Bishop, despite his initial persona as a stand-up church-going man. The atmosphere is thick with drama as the stage is set for a showdown over paternity and trust. Just you wait, it only gets more tangled from here.
Of Looper versus Downs.
Thank you, say. You thought the defendant was a respect church-going family man who turned out to be anything but. You claimed after giving birth to your of twins Braley and Bishop. Mr. Downs denied fathering your babies.
Yes, Your Honor.
Talk about a plot twist. Miss Looper drops a bombshell, admitting she hadn't quite shut the door on several relationships, even as she began seeing Mr. Downs. This revelation comes right after Mr. Downs voices his doubts about being the father, pointing to her ongoing liaisons with other men. The stakes are raised, casting shadows of doubt over the paternity of the twins. Buckle up, because the roller coaster is just picking up speed.
Then we ran into some problems. He went through my phone. I did have a lot of open doors.
Open doors. So you still had other relationships that you had not.
This was 2 weeks after we started hanging out. So we were in a relationship, so I did still have open relationships with other men while I was beginning a relationship with Mr. Downs.
Here's where things really start to heat up. Upon learning of her pregnancy, Miss Looper describes how her relationship with Mr. Downs shifted dramatically. Initially, he was all in, attending prenatal appointments and playing the doting partner, but the skeletons in her closet regarding other men start to cloud his mind with doubt. The plot thickens, and trust me, you'll want to see what's next.
We moved really fast. We had a wedding date in 2 months. Relationship changed tremendously though. Our vibe was different. We weren't hanging out as found out I was pregnant. I called him. He was really nonchalant about it. Once I did get pregnant, he was amazing. Cedric, feet, rub my belly. He would get it by 2 a.m., go get me ice and hot Cheetos.
Can you handle this curveball? Right at the birth, Mr. Downs throws doubt over the room like confetti, especially questioning the paternity of Braley because of her light complexion. This pivotal moment underscores the rare but real possibility that fraternal twins can have different fathers. The tension is palpable, and oh, it's about to go up another notch.
As soon as they brought Braley into the room, the first thing he said was, "Do you guys do DNA tests here? I've never had a kid come out that light." The first thing he said when he seen her. But he did go see my son, and he did say that he looked like him.
You didn't feel like you could be her father?
I know it don't really matter about election and stuff, but like I said, all my kids favor me, just extremely, you know what I'm saying? And I looked at Bishop, I seen more Bishop in me than Braley. At the same time, like I said, I know there's another man been involved.
This part is a real tearjerker, folks. As the relationship hits rock bottom, Miss Looper makes the heart-wrenching decision to pack up the twins and move to California, seeking refuge and support away from Mr. Downs. This major twist not only shakes up their personal lives, but also sets up a legal quandary over the twins' paternity and Mr. Downs' role in their future. Hang on, because the emotional fireworks are just beginning.
For several reasons, I was unhappy with our relationship at this point. I'm gonna have to move back with somebody's mom, and they're gonna be uncomfortable with me. They're like, I'll take it from my mom, not yours. I just felt more comfortable going home. It wasn't working.
So you went back home.
Correct.
And now for the grand finale. Hold on to your popcorn. The episode reaches its climax as the paternity test results are disclosed.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Downs, you are not the father.
Can you believe the nerve? Mr. Kidd lays it all out, accusing Ms. Rawlings of leading him on to believe he was the father of her son, Nathaniel, only to flip the script when she met someone else she preferred. He and his mom spill the beans about how Ms. Rawlings' alleged deception has thrown their family into emotional chaos. Mr. Kidd is rock solid in his belief that he's Nathaniel's dad. Just wait until you hear Ms. Rawlings' side of the story next.
You say Ms. Rawlings is a manipulative user who convinced you that you were the father of her son, then changed her mind when someone better came along. You and your mother say Ms. Rawlings mind game, emotional havoc on your family, and you are 100% positive are her son's father.
You're not ready for this comeback. Ms. Rawlings claps back hard, claiming Mr. Kidd was in the loop all along about not being the dad, thanks to his earlier confession of infertility. She accuses Mr. Kidd and his mother of desperately clinging to a false hope of paternity, and she's all set to bust their bubble in court today. Keep watching. The judge is about to dig into the juicy details.
You say Mr. Kidd is fully aware he is not Daniel's father, as he himself, he cannot have children. You say Mr. Rawlings and his mother are desperate people who convinced themselves Mr. Kidd is your son's father, and you intend to prove them wrong today.
Yes, Your Honor.
Here's where things get spicy. The judge decides to unpack the timeline surrounding Ms. Rawlings' pregnancy and Mr. Kidd's involvement, or lack thereof. Ms. Rawlings recounts how a complicated personal life led her into relationships with Mr. Kidd and another man, making the paternity puzzle even more tangled. Trust me, the medical bombshell that's about to drop is a game changer.
After I went away, after a month after I found out she was pregnant.
Did you tell him it was his child?
No, Your Honor. How it happened was we met through a mutual friend. I didn't know anything about Mr. Kidd. Starting off, my mutual friend ended up leaving, and the situation that I'm in, I didn't have anywhere to go.
Brace yourself for a scientific twist. We get a slice of medical drama as explanations about Mr. Kidd's health condition come into play. His mom explains their rare blood type situation, which could potentially complicate pregnancies, adding a scientific edge to the paternity dispute. Next up, watch how Mr. Kidd's mom reacts when she first hears about her supposed grandkid.
Mr. Kidd told me his himself that he has some type of rare form of blood disease that me and his child would die if I was pregnant by him.
It's not a rare blood disease. I am ARH negative and he is ARH negative. If she's RH positive and doesn't get the necessity during the pregnancy, it could hurt her from having future children or that child could pass away.
Grab some tissues for this tearjerker. Ms. Jenkins, Mr. Kid's mom, shares a heartfelt tale of disbelief and joy upon discovering Nathaniel's existence. Describing the first time she met her grandson in the park as the best day of her life, her story underscores the deep emotional stakes involved. But hold on, there's another dad candidate waiting in the wings.
She said, "That's not your son." I said, "Yes, that is. I gave birth to him. I know who he is." She said, "That's his son." And I was like, "What?" So I contacted his friend who gave me Miss Rawlings' number. We talked for a couple weeks. We were at a park and I said hey to her. I said, "But you know what I'm for." And I went straight to the baby. Picked him up, had said, "Hey, sugar." And he smiled and we played. And honestly, the best day of my life. I'm holding my grandson. I know it's mine.
Just when you think you've seen it all, Ms. Rawlings throws another curveball by admitting there might be another daddy in the picture, as other folks reckon Nathaniel looks like him too. This twist ratchets up the drama, emphasizing the roller coaster of emotions everyone's riding. Don't miss what the expert has to say about Mr. Kid's ability to be a dad. It's a doozy.
Yes, he did, because he was the one that actually told me to get a test to see if I was pregnant. He actually reached back out to me because he had some other situations going on, looking at pictures, and he questioned it again. He was like, "Are you sure the other guy, your child's father, because he looks like me?" And going through, even his brothers said, "Yeah, he has our nose."
The other guy thinks Nathaniel looks like him too.
Fasten your seatbelts for some expert insights. The courtroom calls in Dr. Gator to shed light on Mr. Kid's fertility situation, debunking myths and clarifying his medical history, which could influence his ability to father children. DNA results are just around the corner, and you won't believe the outcome.
So I think there's two separate issues here. There was an issue about RH incompatibility.
Yes.
And that has to do with a mother and a baby, and if there's different blood types between the father of the baby positive. But that really doesn't have anything to do with the ability to a child. And so there are various childhood infections, mumps to repeated urinary tract infection to STIs like gonorrhea and chlamydia. Those can cause inflammation in the test, which then causes scarring.
Get ready for the big reveal. In a stunning turn of events, the DNA test results confirm
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Kid, you are the father.
Buckle up, because this is where the plot thickens. Ms. Casey steps up to lay out her lifelong narrative that her deceased father, listed on her birth certificate, was her biological dad. However, in swoops Mr. Edwards with a plot twist, claiming he's the real father. Amidst this bombshell, her mother throws a wrench into the works by staunchly denying Mr. Edwards' paternity claim and points fingers at another man, supposedly deceased, as the real father. What happens next? You won't believe it.
Miss Casey, you say for more than 25 years, your mother has told you that a deceased man who is listed on your birth certificate is your biological father. Now another man, Mr. Edwards, is claiming is your biological father.
Yes, Your Honor.
You think you've seen drama? Wait till you hear that Ms. Casey pours her heart out about the emotional turmoil of growing up without a dad. She paints a vivid picture of her life as walking through a never-ending dark corridor with no light, starkly contrasting with her siblings who knew their fathers. As she wraps up her heart-wrenching testimony, hold onto your seats, because what's coming is even more gripping.
Not knowing where I came from, I built a bond with Otis Hawkins, who's on my birth certificate, even though he's not. I don't have anything about it. He is on my birth certificate. My oldest daughter I passed, raised my kids the way that I have never been raised. I make sure that the mother and the father is in the home, and they know exactly who their father is.
Just when you think it couldn't get more intense, here's a curveball. Ms. Ewing drops a bombshell that the courtroom didn't see coming. She was informed that Mr. Hawkins, the man listed as the father, was shot dead years ago. The crowd gasps, the stakes are high, and the plot just got thicker. Keep watching, because the next moment is a doozy.
I called his cousin to see did she want to spend time with LaConda. Informed me then that he had been shot in the head by his brother. LaConda was 7 years old. When I was told that, I didn't want to tell her until she got older. I didn't know how to tell her, and I'm telling you exactly what I was told.
Hold the phone. This part's a real tearjerker. In a heartfelt confession, Mr. Edwards reveals his attempts to reconnect via social media, igniting a sliver of hope for a father-daughter relationship amidst the chaos. This revelation stirs the pot further in this already complicated emotional saga. Just when you think you've seen it all, the next twist is right around the corner.
So you reached out to her on social media.
I was looking for them. I am so sorry. I felt like this. Lost one boy. Losing this one. I'm not losing you. I don't even understand. The hair stands up on my back. She looks so much like my family. She's got, what my mom looked like. I got 6 other daughters. And my youngest daughter, if you look at her and look.
Get ready for your jaw to drop. In a moment that feels like something straight out of a movie, Judge Lake reveals that Otis Hawkins, long thought to be pushing daisies, is actually alive and kicking. The court is shook, the audience is in disbelief, and the narrative takes a wild turn. Fasten your seatbelts, because what comes next is truly mind-boggling.
Miss Casey.
Yes, ma'am.
You've been told for over 25 years that Otis Hawkins, the man you believe to be your father, was dead, but he's alive. And we found him for you.
Oh my
Mr. Hawkins,
God.
Into the courtroom.
Grab your popcorn, because this next part is a roller coaster. After a tense wait, the DNA results are in.
Pertaining to whether Mr. Hawk is the father of Miss Casey. Mr. Hawkins, you are not her father.
Can you believe that claim? Miss Ellis opens her statement by alleging she had a brief fling with Mr. Coger 3 years prior, which she believes resulted in the birth of her son, Zamorian. She's clearly invested in the outcome and eager to prove paternity through a court-ordered test. Just watch what unfolds next.
Miss Ellis, you claim you had a brief fling with the defendant 3 years ago. Soon after, you ended up pregnant, and now you prove that he fathered your 3-year-old son.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Coger wittily claims it would be a scientific anomaly if he were the father, expressing strong doubt about Miss Ellis's allegations. The courtroom erupts with laughter, underlining the skepticism and disbelief surrounding his denial of any romantic involvement with Miss Ellis. You won't believe what unfolds next.
You argue it would have to be a medical miracle for you to be her child's father, and you're asking the court not to order a paternity test.
Yes, Your Honor.
What a bold denial. Mr. Coger defends his stance against the paternity test by simply stating, because we never slept together. His straightforward refusal sets the stage for a legal and personal showdown, igniting murmurs of disbelief among the spectators. The tension mounts in the following segment.
Court, why do you oppose the test?
Because we didn't have sex.
So he says.
Oh, we did. We would hang out. When we met, cool, we would talk on the phone, laugh it up, stuff like that. So it came to the point where she wanted to come over and we would hang out. Over the next course of time, we ended up being home alone.
How will he dodge this one? Mr. Coger recounts an evening where intimacy was hinted but ultimately avoided due to Miss Ellis's complaint of vaginal discomfort, preventing any sexual engagement. This part is crucial as it reveals the most intimate moment acknowledged by Mr. Coger, starkly contrasting his complete denial of any sexual encounter. Keep watching. The stakes are getting higher.
I knew what was going to happen. I was hoping that it would happen. So like I said, we got up, took my clothes off, she took hers off. Then that's when she proceeded to tell me about some kind of vaginal discomfort or something like that, where she could not have intercourse at all.
It was painful at the time for me to have sex, yes, Your Honor.
This contradiction is staggering. As the judge sifts through text messages that refute the testimonies, we see Miss Ellis and Mr. Coger discussing the failed attempt at intercourse, which Mr. Coger persistently denies. This twist creates a puzzling narrative about their relationship. The next twist is jaw-dropping.
We never messed around at all.
And then you say, Miss Ellis, but I can take it now.
We never intercourse at any time.
I mean, the testimony that you're giving right now is the truth, because she's saying if you say so, because she thinks you did have sex.
Why did you inbox me and ask me, am I certain that my son is not yours?
This will throw you for a loop. Miss Ellis reveals how she came to realize her pregnancy, adding complexity to the story by introducing another potential father figure, further entangling the timeline and relationships involved. Her account emphasizes her initial obliviousness to her pregnancy and the subsequent astonishment. The unfolding events are utterly unexpected.
And I had to be rushed to the hospital. I woke up, I'm in the hospital room, I'm not knowing, what. So a nurse came in the room and she was like, okay, you had passed out, we feel like you had a heat stroke, we're gonna give you some fluids and everything, draw some blood to see what happened. So she came to me and she was like, do you know that you're pregnant? No, I'm not. Can you, do another test? Is your name Ms. Ellis? I was like, yeah. She was like, oh, okay, well, you're pregnant. Out of all people, I'm pregnant, really?
You won't see this twist coming. Mr. Coger discovers the pregnancy via a Facebook post, pointing to a serious gap in communication from Miss Ellis. His queries about the child's paternity, despite his denials of intercourse, underline his confusion and the tangled web of their relationship. The surprises keep coming.
Found out via Facebook. I was scrolling, we was friends on Facebook. I scrolled through her pictures, found out she was pregnant. I saw her stomach, she was all pregnant, stuff like that. So, what's your thoughts on it? Do you somehow think that it might be mine?
Say, do I somehow think it might be yours? You say, is it mine?
I said, do you think the baby is mine? And what did you say?
This revelation adds a whole new dimension. Miss Ellis confesses to having been intimate with another person shortly before her supposed encounter with Mr. Coger, casting doubt on the paternity and complicating the case with the possibility of multiple partners being involved. Gear up for the next bombshell.
You were intimate with someone else?
Yes.
Without protection. Point blank ask, how's the baby? Do you think it's mine? The baby's doing okay? And no, I don't think it's yours. yours. Was that the truth, or were you just
no,
saying?
I just didn't want him involved because I was with somebody else, and they said that it was going to be there. So what's the point?
This decision is crucial. Judge Lake opts to order a paternity test based on the testimonies and evidence laid out, aiming to clarify the muddled stories and ascertain the truth for the sake of the child. The outcome is going to be jaw-dropping.
Mr. Koger, you came into this courtroom today asking the court not to administer paternity tests. Your petition, Ms. Ellis, is that I believe there is sufficient evidence. I am ordering that you all leave this courtroom immediately, have the test administered.
This result is a major twist.
Pertaining to 3-year-old Zamarian Johnson. Mr. Koger, you are Zamarian's father.
And the tension in the courtroom is thick enough to cut with a knife. The episode kicks off with Judge Lake greeting everyone warmly and introducing the drama-packed case of Pace versus Fobbs and Randolph. Mr. Pace, visibly anxious, shares his fear about potentially not being the biological father of his son. Prince, setting a somber tone for what's to unfold. Just wait until you hear what comes next. It's a doozy.
You may be seated.
It's a case of Pace versus Fobbs and Randolph.
You say you will be crushed today if DNA results reveal you are not biological father of your son, Prince.
Yes, Your Honor.
Hold on to your seats, because this confession is a whirlwind of emotions. Miss Fobbs admits to making a horrible mistake by being intimate with both Mr. Pace and his best friend, Mr. Randolph. She clings to the hope that Mr. Pace is the biological father of her son, revealing the complicated personal dynamics at play. You'll be glued to your screen for what's up next. Things are about to get even juicier.
You say you were caught between the man you're in love with and his best friend. You admit you made a horrible mistake when you slept with both men, but you say you're still, with all your heart, that Mr. Pace is your son's biological father.
This revelation is a bombshell that drops heavy on everyone's hearts. Mr. Pace unfolds the story of how he discovered the betrayal during a heated argument when Miss Fobbs blurted out that Mr. Randolph could be Prince's father. The intensity of this revelation sends shockwaves through the courtroom. Buckle up, because the revelations are just getting started.
Well, that's interesting. We were actually in a heated argument at the time that it occurred. Kind of just got blurted out to me that Mr. Randolph could be a potential father for Prince.
So you're in a heated argument as a couple, and just out of the blue she yells, and by the way, your friend could be Prince's father?
Truth comes out in the open, and it's as bitter as expected. Directly confronted by Mr. Pace, Mr. Randolph admits to his indiscretion with Miss Fobbs, confirming the betrayal and amplifying the drama unfolding before our eyes. What's next is absolutely staggering. You won't want to miss it.
So when you met with Mr. Randolph, have you slept with Miss Fobbs?
Strangely enough, he did say it.
How could you sleep with your best friend's girl?
To answer that, Your Honor, I wasn't in the right state of mind. We both was intoxicated.
As the stakes rise, so do the emotions. Mr. Pace talks about the emotional weight and potential repercussions of the paternity results. He details his deep bond with Prince and his apprehensions about how the results might reshape his life and relationships. The anticipation builds. Get ready for the results that could change everything.
I'm very confused at this point. It's really hard for me to be standing here in front of you, and I'm kind of nervous as far as what I'm about to hear. I don't know, really want to move forward.
Mr. Randolph, you submitted to the court a childhood photo of yourself and Prince.
Yes, Your Honor.
Everyone's on the edge of their seats for this pivotal moment. In the climax of the episode, the paternity results are finally disclosed.
It has been determined by this court, Mr. Pace, you are not his father.
Strap in, folks! Ms. Barrett kicks things off with a lawsuit against Mr. Jones, claiming a hefty $5,000 for emotional distress. She insists that Mr. Jones, potentially her bio dad, ruined her childhood, particularly stinging her by skipping out on her mom's funeral. But hold up, there's more juicy drama ahead.
You are suing the defendant $5,000 in damages for emotional distress. You claim that the man standing across from you helped destroy, though the defendant may be your biological father, you say he has never been there for you.
You're not gonna believe this. Mr. Jones fires back, utterly denying any financial responsibility for emotional distress. He claims he was actually around during her childhood, despite the juicy tidbit that there's a question mark hanging over his paternity, thanks to a spicy revelation about Ms. Barrett's mom's adventures. Buckle up, the roller coaster is just getting started.
Mr. Jones, you deny Ms. Barrett owed financial damages due to emotional distress. You argue you were there for her during her childhood, even though her mother admitted to you you, she slept with another man when Ms. Barrett was conceived.
Yes, Your Honor.
Here's where it gets good. Ms. Barrett pours her heart out, recounting a childhood devoid of dad appearances at birthday parties or any sort of parental cheering squad. Her emotional tale culminates with her major letdown when he didn't show for her mom's funeral. Get ready! The next revelation is a doozy.
I'm here today because I can't stand this man. He hasn't been there for me at all in my life. Claims he did, but he didn't show up to any of my birthdays. He claims he did so much for me when my mom died when I was 16 years old, and I called him looking for comfort just because he's supposed to be my dad. And all I got from him was that he couldn't go and to give my mom from him because he still loves my mom.
Talk about a plot twist. Mr. Jones shares a bombshell. He didn't even know Ms. Barrett existed until she was already blowing out her first birthday candle. This piece of backstory really throws a wrench into the works, questioning his involvement from the get-go. And guess what? It doesn't stop there.
No, I wasn't, Your Honor. I was with somebody else. She was not brought into my life.
Did you know her mother was
in front of a party store hanging out with my friend? Her mother pulled in and told me that she had to talk to me. My daughter was in the back seat as a child.
She was already born. How old was she?
She was like a year.
This bit's rich with irony. Mr. Jones claims he's been financially backing Ms. Barrett since day one, practically painting himself as father of the year. Ms. Barrett, however, begs to differ, giving all the credit to her grandma. Oh boy, the saga continues, and it's about to get even more tangled.
She said she was my child, Your Honor. And then I took care of her from that day all the way up.
Have you always been told he was definitively your biological father?
As a young girl, by my grandma, I was told that he was my father for sure. As I got older and I could understand stuff, given more options and told that my mom was a wild teenager.
You'll crack up at this. At the tender age of 6 months, Ms. Barrett alleges she was essentially sold by her parents to her grandma for a cool $100 to cover rent. Mr. Jones tries to sidestep this family sale debacle by throwing shade at Ms. Barrett's mom. Stay tuned, the next part is just as wild.
When I was 6 months old, him and my mom sold me to my grandma for $100. So him saying that he didn't know about me, that they needed rent money, they were $100 short, give me that baby because I was in rags and not being taken care of. And they gave me to my grandmother and took the $100 home to their happy little house.
And it just keeps getting better. The family drama deepens with missed funerals and flung accusations, painting a picture of a family feud worthy of a soap opera. The emotional stakes are sky high, and believe it or not, there's still more to come.
He told me when I was younger too that he wasn't my father.
Obviously, doubts going through your mind. I mean, someone tells X is pregnant, but she's pregnant by another man. You don't hear anything from her until child is, what, a year old? Pulls up and says, this is your child.
Yes, Your Honor.
Grab your popcorn. The court dives into the details of Mr. Jones's supposed financial contributions, which he argues show his dedication. Ms. Barrett, however, isn't buying it, pointing out the lack of emotional connection. Next up, we have a situation that might just top everything you've heard so far.
Ask her about the motorcycles that I bought her for $4,000 when she was just little that I ordered from California. Ask her about the waterbed, the computer. What about me sending her
my
to
grandma?
Did he ever say to you,
$300 purse?
He doubted whether or not you were his daughter?
Yes, he did.
Can it get any crazier? Yes, it can. Ms. Barrett recounts a downright bizarre month living with Mr. Jones, who she claims treated her more like a girlfriend than a daughter, policing her clothing and behavior. If you thought this was wild, just wait for the grand finale.
Completely. He treated me like his girlfriend, not his daughter. I was wearing a pair of Bermudas, the long shorts. I was wearing those, and he claimed that I was looking like a baby. He wouldn't even let me wear them.
Your Honor.
And then he took me to the race, and supposedly I was shaking my tail feather in front. I was a 12-year-old little girl.
And for the grand reveal, the DNA test results come in.
It has been determined by this court that Mr. Jones, you are her father.
Hold up, did he just drop that bomb? Mr. Patterson claims he is the biological father of 4-year-old Marcus Patterson Jr. and is furious that another man might be the father. He has been there since the child's birth, naming him and being actively involved in his life. Stick around, it's about to get even juicier.
Mr. Patterson, you opened your case today to prove that you are 4-year-old DeMarcus Patterson Jr.'s biological father. You named him, cared for your junior since birth, and are furious. Defendant now claims another man is his father.
Yes, Your Honor.
Wait, what? Plot twist. Ms. Knight admits uncertainty about the child's paternity, despite the child having Mr. Patterson's name. She reveals another man could possibly be the father, introducing significant doubt and complexity to the case. You're not ready for what's coming next.
Ms. Knight, you testified that even though your son has Mr. Patterson's name, it does not change the fact that you are unsure he is DeMarcus Jr.'s biological father. Another man could be.
Yes, Your Honor.
No way. Grab your popcorn. Mr. Patterson describes his immediate bond with the child at birth, asserting asserting his paternal feelings were confirmed when the baby first looked at him. This emotional connection is central to his claim of paternity. Get ready for a curveball.
When the doctor first, held him up and finally gave him to him, I witnessed him just completely quit crying and looked me dead in my eyes. And that's when, at that moment, I knew I became someone's father. So at that moment, like all the doubts that we had before, I just knew like they were just out the window and just it was gonna leave us a happy family. But
And when that baby came into the world, you were there to receive.
Didn't see that coming. Ms. Knight discusses the beginnings of her relationship with Mr. Patterson and their cohabitation. She also mentions infidelity on Mr. Patterson's part, which led to her leaving, and the possibility of another man being the father. The next bit? Oh, it's a doozy.
I let DeMarcus know when I got pregnant that there was a possibility that I could be pregnant with someone else.
Do you remember this conversation, Mr. Patterson?
when she first told me she was pregnant, that's when we was like, I guess you could say doing the house hopping thing, because like when she moved out of her parents' house, she ain't had nowhere to go, so let her live there.
Ooh, that's gotta sting. Mr. Patterson recounts feeling abandoned after Ms. Knight left him and moved in with another man, Mr. Sigler, potentially the biological father. This period of separation added to the paternity confusion. Buckle up, there's more drama ahead.
You're saying she just left the house here from her for a month or two?
Yeah, I was supposed to pick up from work. My grandma made me feel worse about it because she was like, she knew she was too fast for me anyways.
Started to leave because I wasn't over the fact that he cheated on me with this female. So yeah, I did that. Found out I was pregnant while I was with Ladarius.
When you left, ended up with Mr. Sigler.
Right.
Aw, but also, uh-oh. The birth of DeMarcus Jr. is a pivotal moment, with Mr. Patterson present and strongly involved, immediately asserting his connection to the child and influencing the baby's name. What's next? Oh, it's good.
There when my water broke, we woke him up, said, baby, my water broke. Time to go to the hospital. He hopped up. We was in the hospital that whole day, had the baby. He didn't get to cut the umbilical cord because the doctor took it upon himself to cut it. Had the baby, DeMarcus looked over, said, that's my baby. We ain't naming him no Christian. We naming him DeMarcus Patterson.
This is too much, folks. Discussion of Mr. Patterson's ongoing involvement in the child's life despite the paternity uncertainty. DeMarcus Jr. recognizes Mr. Patterson as daddy, highlighting the emotional stakes involved. Hang on, the roller coaster continues.
And so in the last 4 years, has Mr. Patterson been there for DeMarcus?
He's been there.
He has. Call Mr. Patterson daddy. At what point did you realize that it wasn't all working out? Really could potentially be other man's child.
Can you believe they just said that? Ms. Knight and Mr. Patterson acknowledge the possibility that the child resembles other potential father, Mr. Sigler, leading them to consider a DNA test to clarify paternity, which they discuss openly. Next up, the moment of truth.
In the conversation about DNA tests, it's not the first time I brought it up. I done set appointments. No one wants to help me with half the payment.
If they say that I don't get to take my name off or have a DNA test, you'll put me on child.
You know it's a possibility that you're the father, and Ladarius knows a possibility that's the father, and ain't none of y'all giving me nothing anyway, so you think deserve to go on
this
it?
first pair of sneakers, I buy them. You can't say
yeah, when I asked.
Here comes a new challenger. Mr. Sigler enters the court and claims a possibility of being DeMarcus Jr.'s biological father based on timing and his relationship with Ms. Knight. Fasten your seatbelts. The reveal is not.
Pleasure.
As you are aware, we are discussing the paternity of DeMarcus Patterson Jr., a young boy who has potentially have your DNA. Do you believe you are biological father?
In the midst of men having dealings or intimacy, I was the one who told her she was pregnant. And when I told her she was pregnant, she said, well, if you feel like that, take me to the clinic.
This is the big one, folks. The DNA test results reveal.
It has been determined by this court. The biological father is Mr. Sigler. You are DJ's biological father.
Well, strap in, folks. Miss Booker drops a bombshell on Judge Lake, revealing that at the tender age of 13, Mr. Chaussee threw her a curveball by suggesting he might be her biological father, throwing her entire family narrative into a whirlpool of doubt. As she grapples with her identity, the courtroom buzzes with anticipation. Just when you think you've caught your breath, the next clip ramps up the drama.
Then, when you were 13 years old, Mr. Chaussee admitted he could be your biological father. You admit you were in an open relationship with your ex-husband, while also seeing Mr. Chaussee. Still believe Mr. Booker is your daughter's biological father. You say you can't be 100% sure.
Cue the family drama. As Miss Booker confronts her mother Eileen about being told she was adopted, the tension is thicker than a Thanksgiving turkey. This fiery exchange highlights Miss Booker's feelings of alienation, amplified by her stark contrast to her blonde-haired, blue-eyed sisters. If you thought this was juicy, just wait till you see what's up next.
My sisters would even tell me I was adopted all the time.
They would never tell you were adopted.
Yes, they did, Mom. They told me all the time
It probably would get under your skin. Inside, you already felt different. And there was also physical evidence that backed up their claim.
Hold the phone. Did she just say swingers club? In a plot twist worthy of a daytime Emmy, Eileen admits the origins of her current marriage started in a swingers club intended to salvage her crumbling previous marriage. As the court digests this spicy tidbit, prepare yourself. There's more sauciness to come.
My father was in bed, and I said, Dad, look at me in my eyes and tell me that there's no absolute. She said there might be a small one, but she has reassured him. How is is there a chance if you guys have never met before I was born? And he said, we did meet, was have dinner at a hotel. I called Mr. Booker and I asked him his own opinion. Do you think Mr. Chauncey could be my father? There's a big chance that he could.
Oh, the plot thickens. Eileen spills the beans about the disintegration of her marriage to Mr. Booker and her swift move to Mr. Chauncey. This saga of love, betrayal, and swinging has more layers than a wedding cake, and just when you think you've seen it all, the emotional roller coaster takes another wild turn.
But he said, as a last-ditch effort, Eileen, let's try it. I said, okay. I didn't want to be divorced, so we tried. That is how I met my present husband, and he's my soulmate. We've been married together for going October will be 28 years. I love him to death.
Just when you think it couldn't get more intense, Miss Booker calls out her mother for the inconsistencies in her tale of past relationships. The air crackles with tension as accusations fly faster than a reality TV reunion. Grab your popcorn, because this family drama is about to serve up a main course of truth.
You believe she lied and said she never slept with Mr. Chauncey until after you were born. What happened in the swingers club?
My mom gets caught in her lies. She's a good woman, I love her, but first they never met before I was born, and then they did meet, and then they just had dinner at a hotel. I put 2 and 2 together. My father confirmed they had sexual relations.
In a confession that could flip the script, Eileen admits her deceit stemmed from fear of losing Mr. Chauncey. This moment of raw honesty sends shockwaves through the courtroom, painting a complex picture of love and fear intermingled. As the truth unfolds, get ready for an emotional climax you won't see coming.
The truth is, I was afraid if I told my present husband that I was pregnant, that he would leave me.
Say you were scared? That's an honest feeling, emotion that everybody in this room has felt about some situation. Let's really keep it real. You know she felt displaced.
We did not want her to. I did everything in my power.
And for the grand finale, drum roll please. The DNA results are in.
It has been determined by this court that Ms. Booker's biological father is Mr. Booker.
I'm sorry, Mom.
Can you believe this just happened? The episode opens with Miss Reed bringing a case against Miss Austin, demanding a paternity test for a child who Miss Austin claims was fathered by Miss Reed's estranged husband. Miss Reed is also suing for alienation of affections, claiming Miss Austin's actions have financially and emotionally impacted her. The plot thickens, and you won't believe what's next.
This is a case of Reed versus Austin.
Ms. Reed, you are demanding that Ms. Austin have a paternity test administered on her child, whom she claims was fathered by your estranged husband. Being the DNA test will prove that your husband is not her baby's father. Additionally, you are suing his mistress, Miss Austin, in the amount of $5,000 for alienation of affections.
This revelation is jaw-dropping. Miss Reed shares the tumultuous discovery of her husband's infidelity shortly after giving birth, describing how she found out about Miss Austin when she answered her husband Roniel's phone. This confrontation led to a major upheaval in her life, including leaving her home and taking refuge with her aunt. The drama intensifies in the next moment. Buckle up for more chaos.
Then one day I came in from the hospital from having my second child, and Roniel's phone rang, and I just so happened to answer the phone. Mrs. Austin, she said, I'm Roniel's girlfriend. I said, Roniel's girlfriend, did you know that Roniel was engaged to me, whatever, and just had a baby? She said, no. I packed my things and I left with my 2 kids at the time.
This turn of events is startling. Miss Austin defends her actions by claiming ignorance of Roniel's marital status until it was too late, stating that she found out about the marriage through social media. She confronts Roniel's excuses for his actions, suggesting he blamed his involvement with her on his dissatisfaction at home. Keep watching. The twists keep coming, and the next clip will have you on the edge of your seat.
He Nora told me that they was engaged. I found out on Facebook that Roniel was married when she posted a picture up there of their marriage life. That's what I found. And yes, I did confront Roniel about, but at the same token, Roniel would never came to me if Miss Reed was taking care of home, right?
You won't believe what he says next. Mr. Wallace is brought into the courtroom, and the complexity of his relationships is highlighted. He admits to his marital status, his affairs, and potentially fathering children outside his marriage, showcasing his nonchalant attitude towards the consequences of his actions. What happens next will leave you speechless. Get ready for a jaw-dropper.
You married to Ms. Reed.
Yes.
But you were been with Ms. Austin.
Yes.
You just standing there, Mr. Wallace, like you don't have some remorse in the world. You don't have any issues with cheating on your wife?
No, she's not a victim.
She's not?
No.
Oh, fill us in. in.
This moment is incredibly tense. A crucial moment arises when Mr. Wallace expresses doubt about the paternity of Miss Austin's child, despite Miss Austin's insistence. The tension escalates as accusations and past actions are thrown into the discussion, complicating the narrative with layers of betrayal and revenge. The outcome is about to add even more drama. Prepare for an uproar.
Her child is your child?
No, ma'am.
Don't you say no, boy, and she look just like you. You want she got on that everything.
She looked like the other guy who is currently her boyfriend.
I had sex with Raniel first, and I used unprotected sex with Raniel. Told me that he had unprotected sex with Demir several times because he do not like to get protection.
This decision is pivotal. Judge Lake addresses the court with a decision regarding the alienation of affection claim. She dismisses the claim, stating that there is no evidence that Miss Austin intentionally set out to destroy Miss Reed's marriage, emphasizing that Mr. Wallace acted of his own volition. Brace yourself for the reveal of the DNA results. Things are about to get even messier.
For the amount of $5,000. We found out today through testimony and confirmation is that Mr. Wallace actually went after Ms. Austin. Sue for alienation of affection, you have to prove that this young woman planned to destroy your marriage. It was his free will that started this affair. Are we clear? So for this reason, my judgment is for the defendant. Now it's time to go to the results.
The courtroom is on edge here. The tension peaks as the DNA results are disclosed.
In the case of Reed versus Austin, when it comes to baby Demiriel, Mr. Wallace, you are her father.
Told you, dummy. Dummy. Everything, dummy.
What just went down is straight out of a movie. Miss Gates claims that her son, shortly before his death, confessed he wasn't the biological father of 2 children. He was presumed to father with Miss Rembold. She has petitioned the court for a DNA test to honor her son's last wishes. This revelation sets the stage for the emotional and legal drama that unfolds. Just when you think it's clear, the next moment adds a twist. You're definitely going to want to stick around for what happens next.
You claim that the day before your son's tragic death, he told you what you have always believed. He was not the biological father of the defendant's 3-year-old daughter, Alexis, and 16-month-old son, Nicholas. You've petitioned the court for a DNA test to defend his honor.
Yes, Your Honor.
Did that really just happen? Miss Gates passionately argues her son's case, indicating he told her directly he wasn't the father, countering Miss Rembold's belief. The conflict between the two parties' narratives about the deceased's statements highlights the emotional stakes involved, emphasizing Miss Gates' determination to uphold her son's legacy. Strap in, because this emotional roller coaster is just picking up speed.
Why are you so positive your son is not the dad?
I am here to represent my son, Nicholas, because he can't be here. I remember him telling me point blank, day before he passed away, that he was not father of Nicholas.
But yet he told me differently right before he had told me.
This next part is a doozy. Miss Rembold defends the deceased's role as a father, suggesting that regardless of biological ties, he had embraced fatherhood wholeheartedly. This moment reflects on the complexities of familial bonds and the personal definitions of fatherhood beyond biological connections. But just you wait, the plot thickens in the most unexpected ways.
And even if the child was not his, Mr. Gates would still stepped up and he would have been a father.
Of course he would step up. He raised her daughter. She was pregnant when they met.
He never doubted to you at all, or was there doubt?
There was some doubt. Mr. Gates with Alexis, if we would argue, he would say, go find your daughter's father. Nicholas.
This part is loaded with drama. Discussion about Alexis's complexion and paternity doubts arising from the on and off relationship between Miss Rembold and Mr. Gates. This discussion underscores the challenges and suspicions in relationships complicated by breakup and external affairs. The next part adds even more spice to the story, so don't go anywhere.
When Alexis was born, Your Honor, she was very dark complected. He had every doubt possible that she was not his, due to the circumstances of them breaking up, getting back together, involving other people.
What was the nature of this relationship?
When I first met Mr. Gates, he was in a relationship. I was engaged to get married to somebody else. The day we met, we just started off as friends. That same night, Mr. Gates came back to my house.
You won't believe what's coming up. Miss Rembold admits to the possibility of other men being Alexis's father and engages with these men about paternity, which adds layers of doubt and complexity to the case, illustrating the tangled personal histories involved. The stakes are about to skyrocket, and the next revelations are jaw-dropping.
I had ran into the other gentleman that could have possibly been Alex's father. I showed the other gentleman the picture. He says, no.
Why would he say yes? That's 18 years of child support.
Question in your mind?
No,
the other guy said no?
I've had doubt. Mrs. Gates has made comments like, I just don't see Nicholas.
Grab your tissues for this one. Miss Rembold expresses a poignant desire for Miss Gates to accept the children as her grandchildren, particularly stressing the emotional and financial hardship hardships she has faced since Mr. Gates' death. This moment highlights the broader implications of the DNA test results on the family's future. The emotional intensity is about to go through the roof, so prepare yourself.
I'm 100% sure there's some doubt. That's why I'm here today. This to be her grandchild, and I want to be able to get closer. I've lost everything. He used to take care of the kids, and I work. I've had to move since the passing. I lost everything.
The courtroom tension is mounting. Miss Gates discusses the physical differences between the children and her family, using a graphic to outline her argument about the improbability of her son being the father. This analytical approach brings a visual element into the emotionally charged debate. The results are up next, and they're going to be a game changer.
Strong, Your Honor. His dad was blonde hair, blue-eyed. Nick, my mother, blonde hair and blue-eyed.
What you're basically trying to get at is that
they're all blonde.
They all are blonde hair, blue, and you say these children possess very different physical attributes.
Well, yes, we have a look here. She's dark complected. She has hazel eyes, dark hair.
And I have hazel eyes and dark hair.
This is a tearjerker and a half. The DNA test results are in.
Of relatedness between Ms. Robin Gates and Alexis Gates is 98.6%.
Just when you thought reality TV couldn't get any juicier, Ms. Matthews admits to a complicated relationship with Mr. Moore and states her intention to prove he is the biological father of her daughter, Zania. She's as determined as a contestant on a finale. She expresses certainty in her claim, highlighting the personal stakes involved in the outcome of the case. And guess what? It spirals even wilder from here.
Ms. Matthews, you admit to having an extremely complicated relationship with the defendant. Now you say you're here today to prove that he is your 3-year-old daughter, Zania's biological father.
Buckle up, it's about to get bumpy. Mr. Moore counters Ms. Matthews' claims, suggesting she had an affair and doubted the paternity of the child herself, which led to a delayed pregnancy announcement. His skepticism has more layers than an onion, deepening the plot and adding tension in the court. Next up, the plot thickens even more, if you can believe it.
Mr. Moore, you argue Ms. Matthews was having an affair with another man and say she waited to notify you of pregnancy because she was uncertain of her unborn child. Now you say you've had a hard time letting little Zania into your heart because of your doubt and uncertainty.
Wait till you get a load of this twist. The conflict escalates when Mr. Moore requests compensation for a broken car window he alleges Ms. Matthews destroyed out of jealousy. This request is saltier than movie theater popcorn, illustrating the acrimony between the parties. Strap in, the next reveal is a doozy.
Asking the court to award you $285 in damage for a broken car window, which you say Ms. Matthews destroyed in a jealous rage.
Things just got real, folks. Mr. Moore discusses the emotional impact of the paternity doubt on his relationship with Zania, admitting to avoiding contact with her until paternity is established. His turmoil is thicker than a bowl of oatmeal. His emotional turmoil and protective stance toward his feelings are palpable. You'll want to stick around, because what comes next is straight out of a soap opera.
I made sure that it wasn't going to be any contact till I found out for certain that was my daughter. We were cool. When I met her, she was a party girl, all the way up to date.
Were you ever in a committed relationship?
She told me that she was pregnant, but she waited 4 months to do it. We stayed using condoms all the time, 24/7, out of it one night.
You thought that was shocking? Check this out. A dramatic turn occurs as Mr. Moore presents a photo of Ms. Matthews with another man, suggesting infidelity during their relationship. This evidence is like adding fuel to the gossip fire, aiming to bolster his claim of non-paternity with visual proof in the court. Don't touch that dial. Her reaction is up next, and it's priceless.
I got these papers.
Papers of what?
Her uploading picture with the guy who was presumably.
You say this is Ms. Matthews kissing another man that you thought you were together. And how did you find this photo?
That actually came from her social network that she have, her Instagram.
This confession will knock your socks off. Ms. Matthews confesses in court to damaging Mr. Moore's property, specifically by breaking his car window. This admission is as spicy as a hot wing eating contest, tying back to the earlier request for damages and showcasing her volatile response to their conflict. Keep watching. The family drama intensifies in the next clip.
I politely put on my tennis shoes and jogging pants, and I went to his home, and there was a brick by the tire. I said, oh, this is a coincidence. What a coincidence. And I bust the window out. It was real chilly
This
that night.
is a picture of what?
The night she busted out my windows from me uploading it with another girl on my social network.
Window or busted
It's okay for her to bust my window.
Never a dull moment, right? Miss Thomas, a relative of Mr. Moore, expresses her doubts about Ms. Matthews' fidelity and character, further complicating the narrative with community gossip and her personal observations. She throws shade shade like it's sunny in July, which she shares in a disparaging tone. The courtroom's reaction to this? Oh, you gotta see it to believe it.
Miss Thomas, why do you have doubt that your uncle is the father of Miss Matthews' child?
Because Miss Matthews, she gets around. The whole hood knows her. It's nothing new. When he told me he started dating her and she was pregnant, I just started laughing because you don't know how many other dudes she done told this to. Like, this is a rumor around the hood. He gets around.
As if the stakes weren't high enough, check this out. The birth certificate is reviewed, revealing no father listed, which underscores the uncertainty and legal implications of the paternity question. It's more mysterious than a detective novel. This moment highlights the administrative and emotional complexities involved in resolving Zanaya's paternity. What comes next is a truth bomb you won't want to miss.
Who signed the birth certificate?
My name is on the birth certificate. It's right here, Your Honor, if you'd like to see it.
Of Zanaya's birth certificate, and listed under mother's name is, of course, your name. Father's name is
Question
blank.
mark, nothing.
Mr. Moore, you didn't sign the birth certificate because you weren't sure.
He didn't even get the chance to see the birth certificate. He didn't even come up to the hospital, Your Honor.
Fasten your seatbelts. We're hitting the climax. The court addresses the financial claim regarding the broken car window, culminating in a judgment in favor of Mr. Moore for $285. This resolution is like the finale of a fireworks show, momentarily shifting the focus from paternity to accountability for actions taken during personal disputes. The DNA results are coming up, and they're about to drop a bombshell.
You say that you'd like the court to award you $285 for the broken window. Do you have any receipt?
No, Your Honor, I do have receipts.
So this is a receipt from a car repair, $285.
Yep.
In open court, Ms. Matthews, you admit that broke the window intentionally. Therefore, you are responsible.
All roads lead to this moment. The climax of the episode is reached with the revelation of the DNA test results.
Mr. Moore, you are not her father.
That's what I'm talking about. I'm done.